this beautiful gym that you have. Talk about just getting there and like what that means to you.
Yeah, so we now have 6 locations. I stopped franchising in 2017. I opened up my first franchise in South Carolina. It did, okay for 5 years, and then COVID wiped it out. And then I did a franchise in Dubai, which actually crushed it. We had like 800 something members the first month, but it was some crooks, and they ended up like scheming me and keeping my money and stuff like that. So I had to fly to Dubai and take all my logos down. And so it just gave me a kind of a bad taste in my mouth for franchising. Yeah. So our only franchise right now is in Doral. Shout out to Denise and Swan. They're amazing. And, it's something that we'll figure out how we're going to grow with them and through this process of going corporately. So we are going to move forward corporately now. And the flagship location, the HQ that's in Wynwood, is the business model moving forward. And that's what we're going to take to Nashville, to Austin, to Atlanta, to Scottsdale, to Denver, to Dallas, some of these other targeted location areas, and to kind of prove ourselves outside of the Miami market. And then we're also looking to do probably like 3 or 4 more here in the Miami market. But yeah, it's again, I can talk for days about that. But what's been your biggest surprise after building that out? Like, what's kind of been like, oh, wow. Building out HQ?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, so to let you know like how all that happened, I'll take it back a little bit. And I hate bringing up the pandemic, because I don't think any of us want to go back there. But it definitely was something that I think solidified the brand, to be honest. Like, it was like the strength of our community and the strength of what we built, that it was able to last and to actually grow during one of the toughest times that our whole world faced, was kind of like a stamp on, hey, you're doing this the right way. We had people support us all over the world at that time. We were doing IG live workouts, and there's people tuning in from the Netherlands and Switzerland and stuff like that. So it was, people that visited our location, and the fact that we were still waking up, all my locations were still waking up and still doing classes online for people all over the world. And when they closed us down March 2020, they closed us down with 3 open locations. And when they opened us back up, we actually opened with 6 locations. So that time for us was scary and crazy or whatever, but we came out on top. Another thing too is during that time, I knew that I had to make a move. Like, it was everyone was freaking out, the world was going crazy, and I was like, you know what? I got to do something that nobody thinks I'm going to do. So I would have this path where I was walking my dog around Wynwood, and I kept walking by the Strata building, and this is before it was ever built. It was like, just a frame. And again, not an audible voice, but very close, was like, this is my new gym. This is this is where I need to go. This is where I need to go. So I called the number on the thing. I had my realtor hit them up, and they took a meeting. We came in, we saw the space, and we sent them an LOI. They were like, we're not interested. And they ghosted me for like 3 months. And then after 3 months, they called us back and they were like, we're interested now. We did some research and we actually realized who y'all are now, and we want to play ball. So then we went back to the drawing board and actually got a deal done. In the middle of the pandemic, I signed a new lease with this new space, and then we're on the clock. Like, we had to be out of the warehouse at a certain time to get into this new space. And everything went wrong that can go wrong in a build out. I could just go down the list. And that's construction. Construction, you have to take a deep breath and realize that problems are going to happen and things are going to happen. So
was the primary thing in there that was being built was that mezzanine?
Yes, that mezzanine was a disaster.
Had you not done that, it would have been much easier. But that is, in many ways, all that pain and all that heartache to do that is what kind of creates this architectural
It was so needed,
right?
It was so needed. I think it makes the space.
Yeah.
I think it was something that I literally dreamed of. I Pinterest boarded, I saw it.
Yeah.
You know, it was like when I walked into the empty space, I saw that container ship there. I saw the bay doors coming down. Like I saw it before we did it. And so yeah.
And when you're getting like in that whole time crunch, you're spending money, you've raised money, you're borrowing money. What does that feel like when things are not going according to plan?
Yeah.
What do you do with all that stress? How do you handle all that?
Yeah.
Pressure?
So I was able to raise money at the time. I brought in 3 new equity owners, and tremendously, they helped us tremendously, get the build out done. And also at the time, I lost like probably 9 trainers that had been with me for a while. I lost one main guy that had been with me for a while, and so it was a very stressful time. I can tell you, I know that it was stressful on my wife. It was we had a 1-year-old, and I probably was so focused on getting this gym open that I wasn't exactly the best during that time. But I think to go back to kind of what we talked about earlier, for me, the only way to kind of combat stress is just to not stop. Like, no matter the hurdle, no matter the obstacle, like one day I walked in and the mezzanine was literally built in the wrong spot. I mean, imagine that. Like literally in the wrong spot. Like how does that even happen? And, the staircase is like hitting you in the forehead. Like, it's like, what is going on? So things like that would happen. Failing ADA compliance, because they built it 2 inches too small, and like stupid stuff like that you would think would not happen, but they do happen. And it happens all the time. You got to rip out the entire bathroom and start over, do it all over again because you failed an inspection. All these things. But I've learned, I think, and more than anything because of that time during the pandemic, that you never, ever panic. You only pivot and you only solve problems. That's it. You don't cry about it. You don't worry about it. You don't lose sleep over it. You just solve it right then and there. And my architect and GC were actually phenomenal at doing that with me. He has a very calm demeanor, and he was able to combat my more aggressive demeanor. And so us together solving problems became a very, not easy thing, but more manageable thing. And so I learned a lot, and I actually definitely going to use him for future projects because it was the first time that it wasn't a combative working experience. It was more of a complementary, collaborative effort.